Welcome to This Explainer. Today, we're tracing the quintessential hero's journey of a guy who has literally become the modern voice of the cosmos. Of course, I'm talking about Neil deGrasse Tyson. But we aren't starting with a famous television host or the best-selling author you see today. Nope. Today, we're going to trace a very specific, absolutely fascinating path. His journey from a regular public school kid growing up in the Bronx all the way to becoming the director of the Hayden Planetarium, which, incredibly, is the exact institution that first ignited his imagination. It's a story packed with obsession, incredible mentors, a pretty major academic stumble, and a triumphant full-circle homecoming. Okay, let's dive into this. The defining moment of Tyson's early life happened when he was just 9 years old. He visited the Sky Theater of the Hayden Planetarium in New York City, and the imprint of that night sky was just overwhelming. It was so profound that he later described it by saying, "I had no choice in the matter, that in fact, the universe called me." I mean, wow! It wasn't just a fun school field trip, it was a literal calling. That single, solitary visit sparked a lifelong obsession with the night sky that would pretty much dictate the rest of his life. But hey, before you can reach the stars, you have to start on the ground, right? Tyson's lofty astrophysics career actually had very relatable urban beginnings. He grew up in the Castle Hill neighborhood of the Bronx, and later Riverdale. And from kindergarten all the way through his graduation, his education was entirely rooted in the Bronx public school system. We're talking PS 36 Unionport, PS 81 Robert J. Kristen, the Riverdale Kingsbridge Academy, and finally graduating from the Bronx High School of Science in 1976. Now, fun fact about his high school years, he was actually the captain of the wrestling team. But right alongside those athletic pursuits, he was taking extra astronomy courses offered by the Hayden Planetarium. He actually calls that time the most formative period of his entire life. And this brilliantly illustrates just how fast his obsession accelerated. Seriously, it is an absolutely wild trajectory. So at age 9, he has that first monumental planetarium visit. Fast forward just a bit, and by age 14, he earns a scholarship from the Explorers Club of New York to view a total solar eclipse aboard a scientific cruise ship. And this wasn't just any cruise. It just happened to include 2,000 scientists, engineers, and legends like Isaac Asimov and actual astronaut Neil Armstrong. By age 15, he's already gaining a reputation in the local astronomy community and giving his own lectures. And by 17, well, his college application to Cornell University is so dripping with passion for the universe that the admissions office literally forwards it to the famous astronomer Carl Sagan, who then personally invites him to visit the campus. Now, during this rapid ascent, two key figures really shaped his trajectory. They were basically the crucial pillars for his early development. First up was Mark Chartrand III, who was the director of the Hayden Planetarium at the time. Chartrand was Tyson's very first intellectual role model. It was his enthusiastic teaching style, perfectly mixed with a great sense of humor, that inspired Tyson to communicate about the universe in that captivating, approachable way he does today. Then, of course, there was Carl Sagan. When 17-year-old Tyson took a bus up to Ithaca, Sagan didn't just show him around a lab. No, he actually offered to put him up for the night if his bus back to the Bronx didn't come. Tyson later noted that while he already knew he wanted to be a scientist, that single afternoon with Sagan taught him what kind of person he wanted to become. These two mentors provided incredible momentum, completely shaping both his scientific communication style and his core character. So, with all this early momentum, a clearly brilliant mind, and world-class mentors, did his academic path to the stars always go smoothly? It's super easy to look at a highly successful figure and just assume their trajectory was a perfect, unbroken line pointing straight up. But I want you to consider for a second, is success ever really a straight line?
Now, what's really interesting about this phase of his life is the harsh reality of his academic stumble. After earning his bachelor's in physics at Harvard, Tyson headed to the University of Texas at Austin for his graduate work. He earned his master's degree there in 1983, but, and this is by his own account, he simply didn't spend as much time in the research lab as he should have. The result? Well, his professors actually encouraged him to consider alternative careers. Ouch. His doctoral dissertation committee was entirely dissolved, which effectively ended his pursuit of a doctorate at UT Austin. I mean, think about that. It was a massive, devastating setback for someone who had been rocketing toward the stars since he was a 9-year-old kid.
But, as you might guess, Tyson didn't just throw in the towel. He immediately course-corrected. Step 1, he takes a position as a lecturer in astronomy at the University of Maryland from 1986 to 1987. That kept him firmly anchored in the academic world. Step 2, he applies and gets accepted into the astronomy graduate program at Columbia University in 1988. There, he works under Professor R. Michael Rich, who actually secures NASA funding to support Tyson's research. And finally, step 3, He successfully earns his PhD in astrophysics in 1991. His thesis work even took him down to the Cerro Tololo Observatory in Chile, where he obtained images that helped establish Type 1a supernovae as standard candles for measuring the universe. He completely overcame that Texas setback through sheer, undeniable resilience.
Let's see how this builds, because this is where the story gets really good. It's that full circle moment. In 1994, Tyson joined the Hayden Planetarium as a staff scientist. By June of 1995, he became the acting director, and then, in 1996, he was officially appointed as the director of the Hayden Planetarium. Just let that sink in for a second. The 9-year-old kid from the Bronx, whose mind was utterly blown by the Sky Theater, who took extra classes there as a teenager, and who totally idolized its former director, was now running the very institution that first sparked his passion. You really can't write a better script than that.
So the crucial point here is not just that he got the dream job, but that he completely transformed it once he was there. $210 million. Take a second to process the sheer scale of that number. As the newly minted director, Tyson didn't just sit back and maintain the status quo. He spearheaded a massive, complete reconstruction project of the planetarium, which was finally finished in the year 2000. He completely transformed the facility for the 21st century, making absolutely sure it would remain a state-of-the-art beacon of scientific wonder for generations to come. It's a staggering achievement. It really underscores his bold vision and his absolute, unwavering dedication to the institution.
But why take on such a monumental, stressful task? The answer really lies in a deep sense of gratitude and responsibility. When he was asked about becoming the director, Tyson said, "When I was a kid, there were scientists and educators on the staff at the Hayden Planetarium who invested their time and energy in my enlightenment, and I've never forgotten that. To end up back there as its director, I feel this deep sense of duty that I serve in the same capacity for people who come through the facility today that others served for me." He is actively passing the torch. He's doing it for the next generation of Bronx kids, and really kids from all over the world, exactly what Mark Chartrand III and Carl Sagan did for him. And that leaves us with a pretty big question for today. We've seen how a single, simple visit at age 9 charted a course through the stars, through tough setbacks, and right back to the beginning to lead. So I have to ask you, what spark of inspiration from your own childhood might one day call you back to lead the next generation? Thank you so much for joining me for this explainer. Keep looking up, keep asking questions, and I'll see you next time.